the 35 Yu Yu Hakusho cards that I want to see reprinted, part 2. Now I'll spare you the intro and jump straight into the cards. If you want to see me talk through all of these details, go and watch part 1. A link to that video will be in the description of this video. But long story short, I boiled it down to 63 cards that I think are strong candidates to be reprinted. And then of these 63, let's go through and find the 35 that I would like to see come back. I did 21 cards in part 1, and so I will be doing 42 cards today, and I'm going to try and do all 42 in under an hour, so buckle up. I'm going to be going pretty fast and just kind of sparing the details along the way. First up, I'm going to go in order, by the way. So first up, we have Bat Strike, 4 diff, 3 low 4, 1 low block, a Fury weapon. Enhance, if this attack deals damage, your opponent loses X vitality. X equals the number of cards they discarded this turn. So you can already see that this is a Fury attack on the Void symbol that kind of synergizes with Bakugo 4. But even if they've discarded 2 cards, that still's only making this like a 3 low 6, which is good stats, but not like great. It's not really giving us a lot of other things. I think this card is pretty boring. So I'm going to say that I don't want it back, although I think that there's probably an 80% chance this does get reprinted. I just think it's a little boring for me. Now, Botan in Yu Yu Hakusho Set 1 had this mechanic that on every single attack, you could force your rival to discard a card and draw a card. So then if you were playing this as like your 4th attack, this could equal like another 4 damage. And it's a little better than adding damage because even if they half block it, they're still going to be taking all of that from the enhance. So it's a little bit better than adding the damage. But I think outside of some sort of mechanic like Botan had in Yu Yu Hakusho Set 1, that this is kind of a stinker for me. Okay, 5 difficulty attack or strike, 2 check, 4 low 7, 0 mid block, desperation 3. So if you're at less than half health, this is a 3 diff. Taunt weapon. Enhance, draw X cards. X equals the number of cards your opponent has discarded this turn. Again, it has the Void symbol. You can play these discard heavy strategies under Void, and now you're drawing 2 or 3 cards. That's pretty solid, but it is a 2 check. I don't think it's quite paying off the 2 check as it is, although the Desperation 3 is insane, but it has this deadlock enhance. Your opponent discards 3 cards, and that's just nutty. And I don't really know how I feel about that. That's a little too pushed for me in terms of a deadlock enhance. Like, it's perfectly fair without the deadlock. Maybe you know, it probably gets cut from a lot of lists just because it's a 2 check. But then the deadlock is just crazy. A lot of these 2 checks in Yu Yu Hakusho Set 1, I'm really not a fan of, and you'll see that as we go through here. Now, I did the reversal 2 check in part 1, Rose Whiplash, and I don't want that back either, although I think it will come back as a retro reprint, but not in standard. But the discarding 3 cards is just a little, something's not quite sitting right with me about that. I expected to love this card, but the more I thought about it, the more I just didn't want it to come back. Okay, Foundation, 2 difficulty, 2 mid block, 4 check. Flip, after your opponent discards a card during the combat phase, look at their hand. Response, once per turn, after your opponent discards a card during the combat phase, ready this Foundation, playable while committed. Now, both of these are responses. Both of them have the same response trigger. So you can actually do the bottom response first, right? Like, let's say you're playing Bakugo 4, for example, and you say, okay, discard a card. Now you can respond, ready this, respond, flip it, look at their hand. I can see some cool combos here with like Villainous Waylay, and now you know the exact card that you want to rip from their hand using its enhance. I could see this coming back. I don't think it's like crazy strong or anything, but there's some fun synergies here. Healing powers, 2 diff, 3 low block, 6 check. Flip, after your opponent gains vitality, gain 3 vitality. So a 2 diff flipping to gain 3, we've seen this on quite a number of foundations already, but this is a little more honed in on the response trigger after your opponent gains vitality. So you're kind of depending on your opponent playing some sort of life game strategy for that top response to even be viable. Bottom response, destroy, after your opponent adds 1 or more cards to their momentum during the combat phase, discard the added cards. Your opponent may add the top card of their deck to their momentum during the end phase. So you're not stopping them from gaining a momentum, because during the end phase they'll get it, but you are stopping them during the combat phase from getting that momentum. And if they're a character like Toga 3, who's selectively adding something from their discard into their momentum, well, now you're forcing them to, they're not getting that face-up momentum. Now they're just getting a random face-down top card of their deck into their momentum. So I could see this being a pretty common sideboard card. There might be some times where this saves you versus like a home run comet, for example, that now they're not going to get that momentum for the combat phase. They'll still get it at the end phase, but maybe this saves your life. Maybe this stops like a Jiro from setting up specialized sound waves by leading with the home run comet. I could see this coming in, probably limited to sideboards only though. 3 diff, the Pilot of the River Styx, 3 high block, 5 check. Each ability on this card is only playable if your opponent has discarded a card this turn. Response commit, after your attack deals damage, your opponent loses 2 vitality. That's fine. Now, it should note that there's no limitation on this. Now, in Yu Yu Hakusho Set 1, there's not a lot of limitations put on cards like there is in MHA, which is pretty jarring for me, coming from an MHA-only background. Like, normally you would expect this cannot reduce your rival below 1 health, but we don't see that limitation here. This can kill your rival. Bottom response, remove after a non-character responsibility is played, cancel it. Normally I'm always here for cancels, but this just doesn't feel quite strong enough, being a 3 difficulty foundation with a bad block modifier, and it's only playable if they've discarded a card this turn, so this just really isn't it for me. Okay, we're moving on to a new character, 4 diff attack, 3 mid 5, 2 mid block, checks a 3, ally, safe, stun 1, lose 4 vitality, add 1 copy of Beast Summoning from your discard pile to your hand. So to me, this right away is giving me Relentless Barrage vibes, which is rotating when Yu Yu Hakusho Set 1 drops. So it would be kind of nice just to replace Relentless Barrage. And we get this bottom enhance. If you have 30 or more cards in your discard pile, ready 1, printed 3, 4, or 5 difficulty foundation that has not been readied this combat phase. So if you have 30 or more cards in your discard pile. So you have to be on like turn 4, turn 3, turn 4, turn 5. But before you cycle, then you get to ready 1. I think this is very appropriately costed. I don't think it needs a 2 check. I think the 3 check is fine. Say 3 mid 5. This is just Relentless Barrage to me. I'm here for Relentless Barrage to stay in the game. Let's give it a certified fresh rating. 5 diff, massive blow, 3 high 8, 3 high block, checks a 3, fury, powerful 3, stun 1. Discard the top 3 cards of your deck. If your printed vitality is greater than your opponent's, this attack gets +2 to its powerful rating, and your opponent flips 1. When I first read this card, I got really excited because of Bakugo 2. I thought Bakugo 2 finally got a really cool attack. Bakugo 2 would make this thing 5 high 8, powerful 7, and the making your opponent flip 1 foundation goes right into Bakugo 2's strategy of making his rival flip foundations. So that made me really excited. And then I realized there was this text, if your printed vitality is greater than your opponent's. And that just made me mad. And so I said, no way, I don't want to see it. Something about that sentence just it didn't need that sentence. Like, this wasn't some crazy powerful attack that needed this clause. If your printed vitality is greater than your opponent's. Why couldn't we just have it be like this? Why couldn't we have a 3 high 8 powerful 5? Anyway, I don't want it back. It made me mad. I was excited for a little bit, and then my balloon got deflated. 3 diff, Tiger Claws, 3 mid 3, 1 mid block, breaker 1, ranged. Discard the top 3 cards of your deck. This attack gets a speed bonus equal to the highest printed difficulty on a foundation in either player's staging area. Most of the time, that's going to be 3, right? Although sometimes maybe you're playing a 5 difficulty foundation, like that Hood Nomu foundation, and now this is becoming an 8 speed, 3 damage, 3 diff, which is crazy. Already a 6 mid 3 on a 3 diff is kind of nuts. And we get this bottom enhance, lose 2 vitality, your opponent flips 1 foundation. I think this attack is pretty boring, but it's also extremely powerful. So I was going back and forth on this. This is the kind of card that Endeavor 3 would love. We are milling 3 from our deck. It's a 6 speed 3 diff. And then in Endeavor 3, this is going to be like 8 mid for 6, right, after a cycle. And Endeavor 3, we've seen these strategies of forcing our rival to flip foundations. So I'm going to give this a fresh, although I was kind of going back and forth on it because I think this is a very, very powerful 3-diff attack. It's a little boring. It's kind of just a stat hammer. So from a design perspective, this doesn't like excite me, but it will be strong. Tiger Scream, 6-diff, 3-mid 6, 2-check. If you have 30 or more cards in your discard pile, this attack gets -1 difficulty. Discard the top 4 cards of your deck. This attack is plus X damage. X equals the total printed difficulty of all cards discarded this way. So imagine you mill a 5-diff attack, 2-diff foundation, 2-diff foundation, 2-diff 1-diff foundation. Then that's plus 10 damage. This is a 3-mid 16. Enhance, flip one of your opponent's foundations. To me, this is like an indiscriminate shock replacement. Indiscriminate shock is a 3-low 5, and then it was getting a damage for each of your opponent's committed foundations. So a lot of times it would be like a 3-low 15. A lot of times this is like a 3-mid 16, and it's a 6-diff instead of a 5-diff. However, this flip one of your opponent foundations is just kind of putting it over the top for me to where it's crazy. This did get banned, by the way, back in the day. And then it got unbanned and errated to where this enhance was Byakko only and not for anybody else. I believe it's still just Byakko only. For the record, I think that if this was reprinted, it would be fine. I don't think it's over the top powerful, but it does kind of rub me the wrong way. Again, it's kind of like Ore Strike. It's hard to quite put my finger on it, but a lot of these 2-checks just feel a little too pushed in like non-2-check ways. Like they don't feel like how MHA 2-checks feel. Like Tetsu Thrashing, for example, compared to this. Like Thrashing just feels like a 2-check. This just feels like a way overstated normal card. And because it's so pushed, they slapped it with a 2. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a splat. But if they did, reprint this, I'd be fine. If you end up dying to a 3-speed mid attack, hey, listen, that's kind of on you. Okay, 5 difficulty foundation, massive size, 2 mid block. This card gets -2 difficulty if you have more vitality than your opponent. Commit, this attack is plus X damage, X equals 10 minus your hand size. So if you're a 5-hander, you can commit this for 5 damage, and you can even like stack that on a throw, for example. I was pretty excited about this card when I thought about Hood Nomu, but then I realized that the static is going to be live at all times, even in your discard pile. And so it would just always be a 3-diff. At least I think that's how that rules interaction would work, is it would just never be considered really a 5-diff. It would just always be considered a 3-diff. So I'm not quite here for this. It's a little boring to me, but I would be fine if it came back. Okay, Jigan Binding, 4-diff, 4-mid 4, throw. Discard 1 momentum. If this attack deals damage, add 1 card from your discard pile to your momentum. And most of the time, it will do damage, unless our opponent has some sort of throw hate. And then if they are playing some throw hate, then this is a big risk. We're discarding a momentum, depending on this to deal damage so that we can go get a better momentum in there, right? We can go get like a face-up momentum from our discard pile. Enhance, if this attack is not blocked, your next attack gets +2 speed. So I see nothing wrong with this coming back. I don't think this was quite powerful enough to justify it not having any sort of block modifier. If they bring it back, I wouldn't be surprised if it was like a 3-high block. I don't think this is I don't think you'd have to put a like 4 block modifier on here. A 3 block modifier is fine. You're definitely taking a risk with this top enhance. If they have any sort of throw hate, you just discarded a momentum for nothing. 4-mid 4 on a throw. Hey, it's good. It's not crazy. Let's bring it back. Very fair to me. 4-diff, rapid speed slash, 4-low 4, breaker 1, EX3 weapon. Draw 1 card or add the top card of your deck to your momentum. That's very, very good. Only playable if you have at least 1 momentum. So it's pretty well gated, right? I was thinking of like Velocity Punch, like the 4-low 4 that put one of your foundations to your momentum, but it had a 3-low block. This has a much better block and breaker 1 and EX3. So I was thinking, wow, this is a pretty solid card. But this only playable if you have at least 1 momentum. That's a pretty strong barrier on this enhance. Like the enhance by itself is really good, but that barrier is definitely gatekeeping a little bit. So I think it's very fair. Let's go ahead and bring it back. Protecting Yukina, 2 diff, 4 check, 1 mid block. Discard 1 momentum. After you block with this card, the blocked attack deals no damage. This feels like a very fair Faith Shield. Faith Shield is a 3 mid block, but it removes itself from the card pool, so it's not going to count towards your blocking progressive difficulty. It flips your opponent's attack and makes it deal no damage. And it doesn't cost a momentum. This one costs a momentum, better block modifier, but it's going to stay in the card pool, and it's not flipping your rival's attack. Very, very fair version of Faith Shield on these symbols, but we also get a pretty solid enhance, destroy, add the top card of your deck to your momentum. So, we see this on a lot of 2 diffs, destroy and get a momentum. So I like it. Fair Faith Shield. Let's bring it back. The 3 eyes of Hiei, 3 diff, 6 check, 2 high block, commit. Your opponent reveals 1 random card in their hand. Look at the top card of both decks. Change the zone of this attack to any other zone. So we are doing a lot here. 1 random card in their hand, look at the top card of both decks, change the zone of this attack to any other zone. The best part of this ability is the last sentence, change the zone of this attack. And, we're going to be able to see 1 random card in their hand. Now, if they only have 1 card in their hand, then we know exactly what zone to change our attack to deal lethal, right? Oh, you just showed me a low block? All right, this is now a high attack. You can't block it. Look at the top cards of both decks. Yeah, I think this is doing quite a bit. I could see it finding play. 3 diff, 6 check. Okay, a reversal. 5 diff, 5 low, 4, 3 low block. On your turn, this attack gains stun 2. If it deals damage, gain 2 vitality. So if you play this as a normal attack on your turn, it's a 5 low, 4 stun 2. If it deals, gain 2 vitality. That's fine. Enhance, your next reversal attack this turn gets +2 speed and +2 damage. Okay, that's pretty good. And we get this deadlock stun 3. So if they're in deadlock and we play this as a reversal, we can stun 3 on their turn. Very, very strong. Although it's pretty well costed. It's just 4 damage. It has a 3 low block. I think this is, if they do bring reversals back, this feels to be like a very, very fair reversal. Okay, 3 diff, precise blow, another reversal, 1 mid 3. After you block with this card, seal the blocked attack and your opponent as the top card of their deck to the card pool face down. So kind of like cheerful uppercut, right? Combo, except we're also sealing the blocked attack, which could be a big deal. Combo enhance, change this attack zone to high or low. It gets +3 damage. Okay, so now you're like a 1 high or 1 low, 6 damage, 3 diff. I really like this card. It feels much more like a defensive block than it does actually an attack. You're probably using this for that top response 80% of the time, and as an attack, only 20% of the time. Pretty interesting. I can see it coming back if they bring reversals back. Remember, I'm only like 10 to 20% confident that reversals come back, but I can't 100% say they're not bringing it back. Gauge and multiple, I feel like definitely not coming back. Reversals, like maybe. There's a chance. We're leaving My Hero Academia only. There's a chance it comes back. Okay, 3 diff, A Son's Love. First form, commit. Draw 1 card. Your opponent may add the top card of their deck to their momentum. If they do, draw 1 card. So you could just first form, commit, draw 2 cards. But your opponent was able to get a momentum. Or you just first form, commit, draw 1 card. That's really cool. This is the kind of like very interesting interaction piece that I like. Like, you could be helping out your rival here, or your rival could make a mistake and end up helping you even more. And we get this enhance, remove. This attack loses safe, playable while committed. We have no idea what safe is going to mean going forward, so it's very hard for me to judge that. Partners in Crime. Commit flip. After you play an attack that shares at least 2 resource symbols with your character, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck and put them back in any order. Discard 1 momentum. Your opponent discards 1 momentum. Not quite there for me. It's a little boring as a 2 diff. That's interesting. Discard 1 momentum. Your opponent discards 1 momentum. Like if you have a deck that's not really doing anything special, then I could see putting this card in, and now you're going to be holding your rival off of momentum. I just don't quite see how this makes it into decks beyond just being a sideboard card. Reborn Human, 1 diff, doesn't count towards progressive. Response to the card pool after attack deals damage, gain 1 vitality. We already have this card. They reprinted this card. I can't remember the name of it right now. What's the name of it? Energy suction, energy absorption, energy. You know the one, but we already have this. We don't need it again. The Yoko Spirit. Commit, your reversal attack gets 3 speed. If it's completely blocked, it still deals 1 damage. That's kind of crazy. On a 2 diff, like turning any attack you want into Electric Jolt. So you get like an attack like, any of these like Toga attacks that do things in your momentum, and you can just guarantee that they deal damage pretty much. That seems crazy. You'd have to put this on a kind of bad keyword, like your slam attack. But now you're limiting design, right? And so I don't really want this back. It feels like it couldn't be on good keywords. And then if you put it on a bad keyword, you're saying that keyword really can't become great in the future. I don't know. This feels a little too strong to me. Maybe it wasn't back in the day, but it feels like it to me. 4 diff, Deflection Swing, 3 high 3, reversal weapon. Add the top card of your deck to your staging area face down. Add 1 face down foundation from your staging area to your hand. Okay, it's Hardened Jab. If this attack was played as a reversal, it gains all enhance abilities printed on the blocked attack. That's crazy. That's crazy. I used this actually in the standard tournament at the HLC this last year. I borrowed a friend's deck from locals, and somebody played Coffee Samba, and I played Deflection Swing and got to copy their Coffee Samba, and it was a really fun moment in the tournament. But I think this is too strong. Basically, Hardened Jab that can also just copy everything on your opponent's attack if you play it as a reversal. This is an example of a reversal that I think is too much if they bring reversal back. Spirit Slash, 4 diff, 4 high 4, 0 high block. After this attack leaves your card pool during the combat phase, add the top card of your deck to your staging area face down. Interesting. You have to find a way to kick this out of your card pool, but if you do, you're getting a benefit. Enhance, if you have more face down foundations than your opponent, this attack is +2 speed and +1 damage. So then it becomes a 6 high 5. Really, really solid stats for a 4 diff. It's a great block modifier, and we get this really interesting static on it. I would love to see this come back. Spirit Sword Thrust, 5 diff, 5 mid, 5. Add up to 3 face down foundations from your staging area to your hand. This attack is +1/+1 for everything added this way. Kuwabara Enhance, add a foundation from your hand to your staging area face up or face down. What does this sound like, guys? This is just Maximum Overhaul, right? So it's already been reprinted, except on an overhaul overhaul only instead of Kuwabara only. Sword get longer. We already know this is coming back. I don't need to reread it. Endless Determination, 2 diff, 5 check, 3 high block, once per turn. After this foundation is committed due to a cost, ready it. Enhance, add 1 card from your momentum to your staging area face down committed. Yeah, this is going to get a fresh for me. I think that's interesting. Adding 1 of your momentum to your staging area face down committed. And then if you're playing a character that can pull it back up, we are losing a lot of Kirishima 1's kit with My Hero Set 1 rotating. And it feels like Kuwabara's kit would really help that Earth. We're pulling things from our face, we're pulling face downs from our stage into our hand. It would help keep that symbol identity alive. High Spirit Awareness, in this same vein, we get flip, add 1 face down from foundation from your staging area to your hand on your opponent's turn only. So you can pull an attack into your hand if you want to, survive and just guarantee that you have it for the backswing, or you can pull your very best block from your foundation to your hand. I could see Earth Overhaul really liking this card. Kuwabara Response, discard 1 momentum. After a deadlock ability is played, cancel it. We don't have a lot of these in the game right now. Ways to cancel deadlock abilities. I would like to see it come back. Hate Fish, 4 diff, 1 low, 7. Double the next speed or damage bonus this attack receives. Only playable if this card is immediately preceded by an attack or face down card. I've seen this on a few Yu Yu Hakusho attacks. It's pretty interesting. this, like, it could just say combo parentheses attack, but instead it's got this or face down card. I kind of wonder why that is. Enhance, if your opponent is at desperation, this attack is +2 speed. Not really a big deal there. The main reason you're playing this card, I imagine, is for that top enhance, double the next speed or damage bonus this attack receives. So if you give it 3 speed, now you're giving it 6 speed. Now it's a 7 low 7 on a 4 diff. That feels really solid. I think this is fresh. It doesn't feel too powerful. Maybe it's pretty surprising that that top enhance is not gated at all, and it's just double, so if you found some way to give this like 6 speed, then it would make that 12 speed. But I can't think of a lot of ways to really break that top enhance, although it's susceptible to being broken. Most of the time, that's just going to mean like an extra 2 or 3 speed if you find some way to give it 2 or 3 speed. 1 low 7 on a 4 diff. It's interesting. It's cute. It can come back. Life Force Thread, 5 diff, 4 mid, 8 ranged throw. If this attack has received a speed and damage bonus, your next attack gets 3 speed, 1 damage. If this attack is not blocked, add the top card of your deck to your momentum. So you're kind of forcing a block on a throw, or you're going to be getting a momentum. You're also, if you're any character that can give this speed and damage, your next attack is getting 4 stats. All of this is on a throw that is already overstated. Like, we're pretty used to in My Hero Academia, a 5 difficulty throw should be a 3 speed, 6 damage move, right? Like 0 gravity lift, 3 high, 6. But here it's overstated. It's a 4 mid for 8. And it can give 4 more stats, and it can get you a free momentum, and it has a keyword on it with, not an unrelevant keyword with ranged. No, I think this is too strong. This is too pushed for a throw, and it doesn't even check a 2 or anything. Yeah, I don't want it back. Randos Spirit Gun, 5 diff, 5 mid, 5, 2 check. EX2 powerful 4 range charged. If it gets a speed and damage bonus, it gets +2/+2. So then it becomes like a 7 mid 7 on a 5 diff. That's really solid stats, but where this card really pays off is the bottom enhance. You may play once per turn abilities on your character a second time this turn. Only playable if this card is immediately preceded by an attack or face down card. So you have to play this 5 difficulty attack basically on a 6. Then it becomes a 7/7, EX2 powerful 4, but you can play once per turn abilities a second time. And I'm not really a fan of this because there's a reason, once per turn abilities on your character, there is a good reason for that. They're extremely powerful and they shouldn't be able to be played twice. So I'm not really a big fan of this. Again, it's a 2 check that feels pushed, but doesn't really feel like the 2 checks that we have today. Hiding in Plain Sight, 2 diff, 5 check. Add this card to your momentum. If your opponent's at desperation, add the top card of your deck to your momentum. So, another 2 diff foundation that goes to momentum. We've seen this like a million times, in my opinion. I wouldn't be too excited about it coming back. Although now we're getting this added wrinkle of if our opponent's at desperation, we're going to get 2 momentum instead of just 1. Human Hunter, 1 diff, 3 low block. Commit if your attack deals damage. Your next attack, response. After your attack deals damage, your next attack gets +2 speed, +1 damage. So a 1 diff that you can commit for 3 stats. I think that's pretty solid. It's not crazy. It can come back. Sadist, 2 diff, 4 check. If your opponent's at desperation, this card gets -2 difficulty. So it becomes basically a 0 diff. We have 2 first forms here. First one, destroy. Your opponent's considered to be at desperation until the end of the turn. That mattered for this character. First form, flip. If your opponent's at desperation, draw 2 cards. You may add 1 card from your hand to momentum. Something about this card just isn't doing it for me if it came back. It feels like a very character-specific card. First form, flip. If your opponent's at desperation, draw 2 cards. You can add a card from your hand to your momentum. That's very, very strong, but your opponent has to be at less than half health to do it. Crimson Sparrow. Now, this foundation, I think, is probably terrible, but there has to be a reason it exists, right? Like, I really would like to know the best Crimson Sparrow interactions that could have happened. We get this response in your card pool. After an attack, your attack deals damage, ready one foundation that's not been readied this combat phase. But this is adding a progressive difficulty to everything. But now you're getting to selectively ready something if something deals damage. Discard one, if it's in your stage, then you can discard a card for +1 or -2 speed. I'm wondering like what the best interactions were for this being in your card pool, because I just can't see this card seeing play in 99.99% of interactions. Therefore, I don't want to see it come back, but there's got to be some cool interaction here. Okay, 5 diff. This is a common now this card is kind of crazy to me and is a common. Spirit Charged Kick, 4 high 6, 0 low block. Your next attack this turn gets -1 difficulty, meaning that this is basically a 4 diff, 4 high 6, 0 low block. Already that's good. Oh, by the way, it has EX3. Top Enhance, your next attack this turn gets +1 damage for each resource symbol it shares with your character. So that could be like +2 or +3 damage on average. Your next attack gets -1 difficulty, basically making this a 4 diff. This is just a really, really well statted card. It reminds me a lot of like Hell Spider, 3/6, give it a speed and all of your future attacks a speed. Like it's just obviously a pushed common. I'm okay with this coming back. I could see that in sealed play and in draft play, you would be always picking these. 4 diff, 4 mid, 4 reversal. The next attack played this turn gets +3 or -3 damage. Yeah, this is a very boring card, but if reversals come back, this is about the power level that I would like them to start out as. Spirit Gun, 5 mid, 6, range safe. Yusuke Enhance, change this attack zone to high or low. Enhance, destroy one of your opponent's foundations. Okay, that's very strong. A 5 diff, 5 mid, 6. Hey, I get to selectively destroy something. It's on the death symbol. We have, this is already a very common strategy on the death symbol. What is kind of a bummer about this card is that it was errated to where the bottom enhance was the Yusuke enhance and the top enhance was for everybody. I really wish it wasn't. Then this would be cool for like Kirishima 3, for example, to get some more rival foundation destruction. But it was errated, so if they were to reprint it, I imagine that they would keep that errata. I think this is definitely coming back, by the way. We've already seen Yusuke. He has the good and life symbols. He has this like ability to where he can grab something with the word spirit in it from his discard to his hand, I believe, although I'm not quite sure. Something along those lines. So I think it's definitely coming back, but it's probably going to come back with the eroded version where the bottom enhance is Yusuke only. Friends and Rivals, 2 diff, 5 check ally. Response commit. After you play an attack that shares at least 2 resource symbols with your character, your opponent commits 2 foundations. Basically, I commit 1, you commit 2. But I'm committing a face up, and now you can commit like your face downs, for example. I think that that sounds pretty fair. I could see it coming back. Where this could get crazy is with anything that could re-ready this foundation, right? Like it has the life symbol. If you were to play this with repeated 100% smash, and then ready it, and then commit it again, and now you've stunned 4 on your opponent's turn. Like now you've committed 2, your opponent's committed 4. That seems very, very strong. I can see it coming back. Genkai's Training. This is another very strong foundation that I would actually like to come back. 1 diff, commit. If you attempt to block this attack with a card that shares at least 2 resource symbols with your character, your block modifier becomes +0. Most of the time, that's like effectively -2 speed, right? If your card shares 2 symbols with your character, then you basically saved yourself 2 speed. Discard a momentum, ready this foundation, playable while committed. Now, release is rotating, release on the life symbol, and this seems kind of like similar to release, but you get to ready it, and it's playable while committed. You can even play this on offense, just to keep readying this foundation. It doesn't say once per turn. So as many momentum as you have, you can keep readying this. The commit really depends on the block modifier of your card and the resource symbols of your card. So it feels gated enough. It feels very, very strong, but also pretty heavily gated in to where it's fair. I would like to see it come back. 3 diff, Spirit Detective. Remove 1 card from your discard pile with the word spirit in its name. After your opponent plays an enhance, on an attack card, cancel it. So you're removing a 3 difficulty foundation to cancel an opponent's enhance. That seems very, very fair and about on par with what we've come to expect from cancellations. Response commit, after the second copy of an attack is played this turn, seal it. So if they play something twice, you can seal the second one right away. That seems really, really strong. I like this. I'd like to see it come back. Psychic Spirit Glass. Asset, unique, form, remove. Your opponent reveals their hand. Choose one card revealed this way. Your opponent cannot play the chosen card for the rest of the turn. Now this is a form, so it's only playable on your turn. But imagine like removing this, seeing your opponent's hand, and saying you're not allowed to play Barrier Shield anymore. Or you could just say, hey, now I see your entire hand. You can't play that low block. By the way, I'm coming at you with all lows. Now they could still use something in their stage to discard that card and draw something else, like a Calling for Backup, for example. Seems really, really strong, but it is an asset that you have to build and then use on a future turn. I kind of go back and forth on this. Like just being able to remove something and see your rival's hand, that's very, very powerful. But it's also an asset. I'm going to go ahead and say fresh. I could see it coming back. But let me know what you think about this card. This is one that I'm pretty iffy on. Last one, Koo Slap. 4 diff, 3 mid, 3 reversal. Ignores progressive difficulty on your opponent's turn. If this attack deals damage, your opponent's next attack this turn gets +3 difficulty. Basically, you have to block this 3-speed reversal. Otherwise, it becomes Breaker 3. Enhance, your next attack this turn gets -2 difficulty. Meaning if you play this on your turn, it's a 2 diff, 3 mid, 3. That's fine. I was going to put the splat on this, but the more I read this, it could come back. It's a little pushed on defense. It like too punishing as a reversal. Basically like forcing you to block on your own turn. Otherwise, Breaker 3, that feels a little too pushed for me. A little too feels bad from a reversal standpoint. And that is going to do it for all of Yu Yu Hakusho Set 1. We have looked at all the 63 cards that I think have a chance at being reprinted. And I've shown the 35 cards that I'd like to come back. Were there any major disagreements that you have with my takes? For me, this was really interesting just because I never played Yu Yu Hakusho Set 1. And so coming and looking at these cards was a really eye-opening experience for me in learning retro format and what it was like to play the game in the past. But it was also really beneficial for me because now I won't be too far behind everybody when they announce the reprints. If you're like me and you just started with My Hero, then it's really important to get to know these cards so that we're not a step behind compared to the old heads that have been playing the game for a long time. Okay, in 2 weeks, I'm going to be leaving basically for Disney World. I'm going a week early before the HLC. And then I've got the HLC. And so this might be, I probably only have 2 or 3 videos left in January. Let me know what you would like to see from me before I head off for the HLC. I'm thinking maybe another Hawks update. Maybe that'd be too many Hawks updates. Maybe a mid-season tier list update. Maybe something on the top 10 characters that you can expect to see at the last chance qualifier. And, you know, the best cards to counter those characters. Something along those lines. Let me know because I would really appreciate it. We've got about 2 weeks here and then I'm off for Disney World and then for the HLC. Afterwards, I'll have a ton of content, probably heavily focused around like Yu Yu Hakusho reveals that I assume will be dropping soon. Maybe like a set 1 or like a tier list post set 1 rotation, something along those lines. Everything for sure is going to be very focused on Yu Yu Hakusho Dark Tournament with it dropping February 23rd. Well, that's going to be it for me. Again, in the comments, tell me what kind of content you'd like to see coming from me soon.